This is the Mortgage Note Podcast. I'm Scott Kimbler. In this episode, we're speaking with Robert and Curtis Knuth. They're a father and son team in finance, evolving themselves with both NCS and Service First.
My dad started NCS in 1987, and it merged with a company he also started called Credit Central in 1978. So we trace our roots back to 78. NCS is originally an RMCR provider, Residential Mortgage Credit Report. And then my dad in 1993 started the 4506 tool, and we branded that TRV. That's where we go to the IRS and we get copies of tax returns or tax transcripts, and we use that to validate a taxpayer's ability to repay. So within the mortgage space, it's used for income verification, quality control, et cetera, et cetera. And then we provide that into the marketplace. There are many resellers, and those resellers are credit reporting agencies principally. So Experian, TransUnion, LexisNexis, and others. So that's NCS. And then in 2019, we acquired Service First. And so that is a traditional credit reporting reseller. And so that would be all your typical tri-merge credit reports, credit report in files into the mortgage space, property verifications, property validations, et cetera, et cetera.
Bob, how did you become involved in finance and build your life around that?
Well, I started actually with one of the credit reporting networks, Equifax. When I was a young guy coming out of school, and I stayed with them for a number of years in locations all throughout the United States.
Yeah, so he started NCS, like I said, in 1987, and Credit Central in 1978 after he left Equifax. And so he was very much involved in. So if you think of it, the credit bureaus have been around, since, I don't know, the late 1800s.
Before me.
Yeah. And so he was in charge or had responsibilities there as the bureaus were taking all of those paper files, right, and creating those into electronic files, and was involved in all that, was involved in some of the different merge technologies that came out to merge those, create the tri-merge technology. So yeah, that was very much involved in the credit reporting space as that was coming into the modern era.
Well, that must have been quite a jump in development at that time, because now they all three sort of work almost seamlessly, at least as far as the consumer is concerned.
I can remember going into those manual files. Would be working on those files with a headset on and looking up credit report files. And then they had to make the big shift to automation, and it was not an easy task.
Yep.
So Kurt, how did you end up following your father into finance? With a lot of folks, what their fathers do isn't necessarily something they want to grow up to do, but you're sort of in here with both feet.
Yeah, so my dad was always very good at not putting pressure on me to, take over the family shop, right? He was always very gracious like that. So I had originally started out within in environmental consulting. I really enjoyed that, but wanted to be with my family. And my mother was involved, my sister was involved, of course, Dad was involved, and was involved in many, many trade associations throughout credit reporting, ACB, CDIA, a whole bunch of trades, and obviously the Mortgage Bankers Association. So, with how much he was involved in it, and kind of, we were just talking about how he spearheaded that, all of that technology, all of the coming of age. That was pretty neat, pretty cool. So wanted to be part of that. And yeah, it was, I want to say 2003, started in at NCS full time.
So you working side by side with your father, that's been a decades long now thing going on with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, gosh, I guess, yeah, from 3 until he stepped out in 2017. And yeah, dad did a great job of working with his Parkinson's. I think he started with that maybe about, I don't know, maybe 5-7 years prior, if not before that. And I had worked through it very well. And you know, that's pretty gutsy to be able to get up and make presentations and do all of those kind of things when, you know, you've seen the videos of Michael J. Fox and others that have had to push through that. It's hard. It's hard.
Well, you know, the one thing that I was concerned about throughout all of this was my strong belief in quality in all of the processing that we provide to our customers. And I was comfortable that this is going to be very well handled by Kurt and whoever he passed it on to.
So as things are right now with the two companies, where does NCS fit into the financial landscape right now?
Really, income verification, income validation, income analysis. That is just, it's a huge piece of any credit granting, whether it's loan applications. You could think of on the CU side, even with respect to portfolio review, right? Commercial. There's just a lot that touches. We have even gotten into spaces outside of mortgage and finance within education lending. And so there's just tremendous areas that we are, you know, touching throughout, you know, kind of the finance ecosystem right now with respect to income verification. And of course, staying within the realm of, you know, what's going on at the IRS right now. So we go to the IRS and we get copies of the tax transcripts. And of course, they are working through, along with the Social Security Administration, they're working through a significant restructuring to be very kind.
And then Service First picks up more at the consumer level, is that correct?
Yeah, so Service First would take care of all of the credit reporting. So if you think of a credit union, right? So for any of the mortgages that they originate for their members, you know, it would be the tri-merge credit reporting, single in files. It would be all of that kind of work. So not just consumer lending, but also within mortgage. And then we're a full service offering into many different loan origination systems. Then also, like I said, flood determinations, property valuations, ID verification, fraud mitigation. So it's a full service, full bundled offering. And the way that Service First interacts with NCS is it's just another one of those resellers, right? So it's partnered up with NCS to offer NCS verification solutions into those markets.
I gotcha. Backtracking a little bit back into more of your personal lives, I would think for both Bob and you, Curtis, as well, that it's quite a point of family pride, especially for Bob, that Curtis was able to follow you into this field.
It's really cool. To be honest with you, to see that that type of transition could take place, we start feeling so comfortable about it. And I guess it's probably because of the training and experience that I gave Kurt, and hopefully he holds on to it one way or another. But it really is. It's a great opportunity to have your thoughts continue through somebody else.
Do we have other Knuths coming up behind you, Kurt?
I don't know. So my crew is still a bit young. My oldest is 15. Right now it's all about baseball. So, baseball and, we hope school, right? So pushing them hard on the schooling, especially. But yeah, who knows? So I have five. My sister has three. So it's myself and my sister with my parents here. So yeah, you never know. You never know.
So we have plenty to draw from.
So did you find it beneficial, Kurt, that your father was able to guide you in the ins and outs of this? I'm sure there's a learning curve, for everybody along the way, but I would think you sort of have an in with his financial knowledge when you were, building your own career at that point.
Yeah, very much so. I can recall so there's, like I said, there's a number of trade associations for the consumer reporting space. And so one of them is CDIA, which when I was just starting into the space, I believe still was what was that, Dad? C or ACB, Associated Credit Bureaus. And yeah, I can remember my father taking me to some of those trade association meetings when I was Carter's age, my son's age at 15, and introducing me, to a number of credit reporting heads. I can remember the EVP of First American Credco, and all of that, and really within, the mortgage space, I can think of a lot of IMBs, independent mortgage bankers, that are similar. There are a lot of IMBs that are family related, and that bring their kids as they come of age to different trade associations. And if you think of the credit reporting space, many of the credit reporting companies, prior to the formation of Zactus, that company was Credit Plus. And the Credit Plus was a father-son. Mr. Price, Bill Price of CBC, just actually passed CBC family-owned company, the Price family. Factual Data was the Donans, father and two sons. So there are a lot of family-owned, family-run credit reporting companies, within the space for sure. Yeah, so it's been fun, and it was very helpful having Dad kind of guide me through that.
Well, it sounds like you have a good, close-knit relationship. Along the line, did you find it difficult at times, or do you have a practice in which you, sort of leave work at home and operate as a family as opposed to operating as business partners?
Yeah, so I can remember my mother was very good at when my father would come home from these different business trips or conferences and whatnot, and he'd be out eating at restaurants and getting wined and dined or wine and dining others. And she would make sure when we came home it was peanut butter and jelly. so it was always a bring back the reality. There was a separation between work and family. And so, yeah, that was another thing that my mother and father taught very well. My mother was very instrumental in NCS, as the company was growing, running our books and all sorts of different things over there. So yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I certainly don't want to leave my mother out. She was a big part of building Credit Central and NCS.
Well, that sounds great, and the fact that she was able to, I guess, use the term "keep it real," with the with
Yeah.
with the peanut butter and jelly, and I would assume every now and then at dinner, she might have to remind you guys, "Okay, guys, we're living family life."
Yeah, it's very, very easy to let that cross over, just like anybody. And it's our company has grown tremendously over the last 3 years. It's taken a couple leapfrogs forward, and yeah, it's a cautionary tale, because it can consume you, and really just take over your life if you let it to, or if it has to. But by the grace of God, we've been able to keep that distinction and not let it draw over. And we've got a great team that just supports me so big in being able to leave, the office when I have to.
And where do each of you see the direction of NCS and Service First going in the short term and in the long term? What are you building toward?
Yeah, so I'll kick in there. So with respect to NCS, that is just continuing to do more and more on the verification side. So if you can think of, right now you have if you think of verification of employment, there is a mad rush to keep bringing in consumer files into databases, right? So whether it's TWN, whether it's Experience Solution, and many other workplace solutions there, that the big land grab, so to say, is to get as many files into your database as you can. But for the most part, that only covers about 35%, best case of the entire marketplace. So having transitional technologies like being able to manually verify an employment, call up an employer and say, hey, how much does Kurt make? Is he currently employed? What's his chances of employment for however long? You still need that. You still have to have that. And you've got to have the efficiencies and tools to be able to report on it and to drive as much efficiency into a manual process as you possibly can. So that's a big part of where we are, is to try to create those bridge technologies as we move towards a database solution. So whether that's RPA, AI, any of these technologies, they are just critical on the NCS side. And then on the Service First side, it's how can we, the biggest thing for Service First is how can you take that universe of product that credit unions, banks, mortgage bankers, all of that information services that they need, and how can I give that to their processors, underwriters, originators, LOs? How can I give that to them in the easiest way possible so that they can just click buttons and get done, click buttons and get done? Or even better yet, if you think of ICE right now, ICE Mortgage Technology, they have the ability to create cascades where, based on different lending scenarios, you just move from a credit report to a flood to a TRV to a whatever, AVM, and it goes on auto. So I would say with respect to the two companies, it's really on the NCS side, how can we anticipate what's next in the verifications? And on the Service First side, it's how can I make a clean presentation to originators and other mortgage industry folks, make that as clean and as efficient as possible.
Do you both have closing thoughts on letting people know about the company and you two as well? And as far as being a father and son team?
Well, I would say, for Dad and I, now it's just keeping him and my mother apprised of what we're doing and how is the company doing. That's the first thing. As soon as I walk in the door, it's about the first or second thing my father asks, besides how's the kids, what's going on with the company? So I think it's just, making sure that all of the groundwork that, my father set, from ethics to, all of our legals being dotted and all of that. We have a number of folks that are still with us for about 40, 45 years, and they help to carry on the culture. I think that's the biggest thing, really, to try to wrap a bow around it. How can you keep that culture that got us this far? How can you make sure that that continues on for the next group of employees that we bring on? I would say that that's probably the biggest thing that we talk about and are, concerned about, is how can we make sure that our culture continues forward.
This has been the Mortgage Note Podcast. I'm Scott Kimbler.